holding by the Teres Rav Magid. So the Rebbe brings the Frierdiker Rebbe says in the Maamar that the air which is Sosum Be'etzim, that is Be'etzim moved to a Farmachter Indian, so that's Neslabish. Dafkin, it's Nimshal Dafkin in Yonim, which have no, which the that Begoli is Zezach Nish the Sheikhs to the Nimshal. Dafkin in Yonim in Azalchim Shalom, Azalchim Levushim, which you cannot recognize any Sheikhs to the Indian. Dafkin Azalchim certain in Yonim is Nimshach the Gufi Indian, and that Rebbe is Mevar Lefizeh is Mevar the Teres of Hashem Tov. That Hashem Tov says Dafkin Tzipuri Ater the Marshal when you get to the Ben Melech that Dafkin through the Shin in order to bring out the Tainig HaPoshet, that was going to explain the Hemshech, in order to bring out the Pnimiyas HaKesher between the Inyan HaMalchus, that's Dafka through the fact that you can Mekasher the Ben Melech to the Melech through Shinik Susluvish. If the way to bring out the Eker HaMalchus through without Shinik Susluvish, without being Meshana his Lashon, so then it's all Behemshech. That's all Behemshech to the Inyan HaMalchus. That's Malchus with Shaychus Tegilu, not the Pnimiyas or the Atzmius HaMalchus. The Atzmius HaMalchus is dafka expressed in the fact that you could able to take even levushim which are nifrad, and through those levushim to bring back and to bring out the Yeker HaMelech. So that dafka, the fact that you're through Sipurim Gashmim, so that's in Luchori Inanim which have there's no Gili Lukus in them. So dafka mitzad the Etzem, you have this inyan that you could, the Etzem brings Chareis with them, that through Inyanim Chitzainim, you could also reach a Lukus. That's the Nakoda that he spoke till here. Yeah, Dort and Altman. B'sei even come Teres Rav Magid. So the physical question Teres Rav Magid, the pasuk there, Shlosh Yom Neilchan Midbar, so the pasuk says that the Moshe Rabbeinu told Pari that we're going to go 3 days. So Basi the Diak Shlosh Yom Neilchan Midbar. So the Magid explains, Shenitna Teire B'Sini Nitna B'Dibur. B'Vader Li Murchach Li Yishem Achshav, Ki HaDibur Nimshach Min HaMachshav. Nimtza Sha'Teire Nitna B'Dibur B'Machshav. So Basi Zricha we have the Aseres HaDibris, so that Teire was given B'Dibur. And even before Matan Teira and the Dibur, so there's Machshava, there's the Teira isn't the Darga of Machshava. Aval ha-maisa b'yodenuk shanachnu eisem ha-mitzvah b'maisa oz on ha-miyachde maisa ha-mitzvah she'elu masiyim ha-dibur v'machshava shem elu ma'itzira v'abriya. L'kudi the Rebbe brings a behemshech. There is mevar over there that you say istakal be'iraisa bar'alma. So the Maggid says it's not the pshat that you have kama v'kama elam, it's briya, it's sira, asiyah. So it's not the pshat that on each part of the Teira is mecholik in different parts. And one part of Teira is Mahava, this Eilam, another part of Teira is Mahava, a different Eilam. The entire, the Istaka B'Raisa B'Ra'am, Teira is one Akudah, it's one cloud. And the entire world is this Havim, it's that Teira. There's Fashidna Dargas in the Eilam, so that's only them, it's at different Dargas of Teira. There's the way Teira is in the Eilam of Machshava. Teira is in the Machshavas HaBeir de Kavayachal. So Mitzat Teira, the way it is in the Darga of Machshava, it's Mahava, Eilam is the way Eilam is are, and Eilam HaBriya, which is also the Eilam is the way they are connected to Machshava. And Teira, the way Teira is Nimshach and Dibur. There's slapshas era teira b'dibur, so mitzad that there's this havas ha'elam is the way they are with the darg of dibur, that's itzira, and then there's the slapshas of teira and ma'isa, and mitzad the slapshas teira and ma'isa, so mitzad that is this havas ha'elam the way it is in b'chinas ma'isa. So there's machshavas, there's the era teira the way it's in lubush and lubush machshava, there's lubush dibur and lubush ma'isa. Lubush machshava, so there is galus at teira the way it was mitzad matan teira was machshavas with dibur at teira, that was given lamata, and then the ma'isa mitzvahs teira to be mamshach era teira and ma'isa. That's totally in a yid's ma'isa mitzvahs, and a yid's tafket is to mechaber the ma'isa teira b'sim shecham ma'isa that it should connect to the teira is machshava v'dibur. So b'shas matan teira b'shas the ibshas neicha sham alekechas that dibur was a keli to the machshava. The same when a person speaks, so the dibur stems from machshava. So in the dibur is nirgash also the era machshava. What a person the kavana the machshava that a person had in the content that he's saying, so that there's a connection between what he speaks and the teichen that he thought about. Mashikin and Maisa is just a technical Maisa. Maisa mitzadatzme doesn't contain within itself the way it is in Machshava and Dibur. So that's the tafkid of a Yid, that Peshaser, when he does mitzvahs v'maisa, or he's mekan the Teira v'maisa, he should miyached it with the Machshava and the Dibur. That's the Nekoda, that's the Shleishas Yom Neilech v'midbar. That Matan Teira is that in Maisa, in Eilam Asiyah, there should be also the area of Machshava and Dibur. That's the Nekoda that does get to Mazmur. So Zeu Derech Shleisha Shem Neilch HaMidbar, the Hainu Shleisha Eilam is Neilech B'Kabbalah Satir. Maktam Levair. V'negiah l'slapshas HaTeira B'Eilam is Shekol Mashem Misrachik Yezim Yishor Shom HaTeira Yetzim Tzub Tzemah. Zevim is Aktav Mashal Bashat Begashmis. By the person that where is a person how to gefil is the regesh hanefesh. Where is more meir the eira nefesh and machshava? When a person's thinking the eira nefesh, the seichel or the gefil for himself, there is meir the regesh from the ganze take it. When a person is expressing the regesh with dibur, so dibur doesn't express the feeling the way you felt it innovated. You're being beitzit lachutz. So the eira is more mitzimtzum in dibur. When a person is doing a ma'isa, a person is in speaking divrei ava, divrei chibatus, tanayv is also a tzimtzum the way the regesh is machshava. B'shas is doing a ma'isa based on the regesh, so the ma'isa doesn't contain within itself or in a very schwache way the regesh of ava the way it is machshava, the way it is in dibur. So there's eira terech, there's the way the eira terech is mislabish and levush machshava, and there the chachmasi which yiv chachmasi echad. So the eira terech, the eira v'lakus is meir bezgalus, the way it is in teira, the way teira is in darga of machshava. And then, the more the eira teres mislabish and lower levushim, but dibur, vert member shama tere yesim mitzimtzemes. Ad shebol elam hazeh shebei hakil mitzimtzum gomer. Da hört sich im Ganzen nicht the ein sof the blik voll of lekus. Ad shekem ad she'en loch mitzvah she'en b'midas v'shiurim. Okay, so that's this is like Thursday. Misha zeh khavrei el masal yene misas say mitzvah yesh the tani the yid with beim is meir. See a person putting on tefillin. You look tefillin pashut the only thing you have is the ma'isa mitzvah. That I know that I have to take this chayfetz and I have to put it on my hand. And I take this and put it on my. So I only have the medidas for shiurim mitzvah. There's no which is meir. A person can do a mitzvah of a ma'isa and there's not in touch with any of any leki which is mubish in the mitzvah. Or tuta ma'isa. He says midas for shiurim. The answer is that's nirgash is that there's a certain technical act that he has to do. He has to put on his head, has to be mechuven in this place, it has to be mechuven in this hand. There's nothing besides for the technical ma'isa itself. That's the eid is in ganzen mitzvah. Es heißt sich in ganzen nicht the eid leki which is melubish in the mitzvah. Just the technicalities of it. That's one eifim. You have an eifim by Yid is meir also the teichen ruchni of a mitzvah. Is meir now that is kama dargis. Yid's by meir not stam the technical object of tefillin. Beim is meir the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and the way tefillin is a keli to the Avaya Echad, the way it's connected to the yad, the way it's connected to the reish, is by meir the teichen ruchni of the mitzvah, and that is kama dargis. So of them talk the Magid Misha Zeiche V'rei El Masal Yenim means he sees the Inyan HaMitzvah the way it is in El Masal Yenim M'chinas HaDibur M'chinas HaMachshava. So there the Eira Leki which is made in the mitzvah Shalei Be'erech Legabi the way it is Lamata. So Yesh Le'yesh HaTanig Em is Meir Lekus, and so Herzach the Kedusha and the Sheirish of what a mitzvah is. So Avada there's much more Shalei Be'erech Gidei HaNefesh when he does this mitzvah. There's more Tainig. He's by his mayor, the Indian of a lakus in the mitzvah. So Bashas does the mitzvah, he's miskasha with a lakus. So there's this kasha, his nefesh is miskasha with a lakus. So that's more time. That's the more it's mayor, the Eira Tereh, the way it is in higher levushim, the more it's mayor, the head Ragbala, the Eira Tereh, without Ragbalas. That's Yeser Tainik, more Tainik is harchava, so to speak. Not the nefesh. The nefesh is betzimtzum. What's the between tzar and taina? The nefesh, the way he summons in a he has to be constricted. He can't express himself. He can't be the way he is. So that's gerim tzar. Taina is that the nefesh could express itself. Kameshu, he's able to be barchava. So a person which by him is only him is the mayor the Eira mitzvah. He's only a shaykhs to the mitzvah the way it is in Gashmi is the way the Eira is mitzvah. He has no taina. He's not margish the Eira Leki of the mitzvah. The Eira Leki is mitzumtzim in a ma'isa and a technical ma'isa gashmi. The more he sees the Eira Teira the way it is melubish and higher levush and higher elements, the more it's meir Eira Teira on Akbalas, and the mele is yeser time. So there he has his shaykhs the lekus, and the gilei Leki shalei is without tzimtzumim and hakbalas. This is out so till now we're just seeking to get to the different dargis of Teira or the mitzvah that a person does. What does the Gemara say? The Gemara says there that there is no what's the shear? Is there a shear and limit to the Geidel HaTorah? So the one Himel Shet in Pasuk Aruchem Eretz Midor Rechavim Miniyam. So Torah is Nagbalas. So that's Boy Yecheskel V'Leib Yecheskel came or at Nishke Kent Mefarish and he wasn't the Hagbala of what's the Geidel of Torah. The Chsiva Yifresh Eisel Lefanai. So the Yisan is Nevuah that what Perish given the Torah in front of him, think Torah Shvape, the Iksuva upon of Achas, so side the Pasha the Gemara is that side Hashem the Pasuk, side the Pnim was full of the Esis HaTorah, side the back, and he didn't say any Akbala, how many pages it was, or how big were the pages. Oh, no. So Yecheskel wasn't Mefarish the Akbala of Torah, it was the Maggataych. Why? Because he saw the Torah, the way it's Mulubish Neil Masayanim. The same way he said when you get to Regesh HaMachshava, the way the person has a Regesh, the way it's an Esis HaMachshava, the Esis aren't Magbal. The Regesh that a person has, then the Regesh, the way it is inside his nefesh, is Meir Betachlis. In the Esis HaMachshava, Sal Derech Zeh, the Eira Torah, the way Yecheskel saw it, is the way the Eira Torah is in Elam HaBriyah. The Eira Torah is in Elam HaBriyah, so Darton is Meir, the whole head Akbala of the Eira of Alakus. There's no Tzim, there's no Akbala. Hainu Shira is in Elam Masayanim. Since you saw the Torah, the way it is in Elam Masayanim, Sheina Tainag Agod the Belit Tzimtzum. Ve'ela Tigezen on Tzimtzum. Chakach was Charya Prishma. Sheik when Charya came, so at the Yem Farish given the Midah of Torah, the Akbala. The Chsiv Megillah Ofa, and it says that there was an Eirech and a Reichav, says Charya already is getouched a Medida of Akbala to Torah. Why? Because Charya saw Torah, the Torah is where the Eira Torah is Molubish in Elam HaDibur. The Eira Torah is Molubish in Elam HaDibur. I'll do when you get to a person. The Beshatz, he's expressing his Regesh in speech. So there's Akbala, says already there's Isis, which are Murgish, and the Teichen is Mukbal according to the Isis. So there's a Charya, because then the Eira Torah is Molubish in Elam HaDibur. There's Molubish in Elam HaDibur, there's Akbalas. Shadib Mitzumtzum. Al-Kain Ra Isa B'Shiur. Then in Elam Hazes, Shalei Be'erev. Kivan Shateiru Mitzvah Mitzumtzum of Elam Hazeh. So Kain, so after them the Magid B'Shas B'Tota Mitzvah, Tzarech Kol Echad L'Chavim B'Yisas Yisas Mitzvah, B'Maisa B'Dibur Machshava. So B'Shas I mentioned Tota Mitzvah. He has to have his Machshava. It's not enough to do the Mitzvah of Maisa. He should also understand the Pnimius of Mitzvah. And B'Shas he does the Mitzvah, should be Meir by him the Pnimius what a Mitzvah is. And out there as a B'Dibur he should be in touch with the Mitzvah. And then he should do it. And then he's Mechaber the Maisa with the Seder Dach and El Masayin. Ki B'Zeh B'Shas he does the Mitzvah. And the Mitzvah is being done side with his Machshava. Side with his dibur, side with his maise. So bezeh maile some mitzvahs umafshe deis megashmiyus. Mekar veis am shorshem meyachtem el masayed. That's the answer. So according to this beer, I mentioned to the mitzvah maile. If you b'shas you're doing a mitzvah, you're only doing the maise. So then you have the eira teira b'tzimtzum. You only have a technical maise. Mitzvah shiurim. The eira teira, the chay, the eira leki, which is mulubish in this mitzvah, in nishmeir. English, as a person does a mitzvah and his machshav is also tracht about the Indian primi what the mitzvah is. And the dibur, so it's enough saying the dibur, it's birchas and mitzvah, but you also express the dibur, the teichen of the mitzvah. So you're meyached the maise with the machshav of the dibur. And the ikar, in order to mechaber the maise with the machshav of the dibur, the ikar is through the tainug beis hasiyos. What's the best? Because tainug is mechaber based dvarim. Gamam luchore elam shaychas alazeh, film hafchis imizeh. Tainug is the tchun of tainug is that it's mechaber afachim. So Melech Shasayitut a mitzvah with tainug nafshe, with them is a mechaber the maise with the bezel mekash kol elam mistakudish baruch. That's a thing. Shasayitut a mitzvah. If he does the mitzvah miyusad on his machshav is bonanus. So mitzvah comes at the end of the Teres Rav Magid. Mitzvah is bonanus itself. So my machshav is mere the pnimius of what the mitzvah is, but it's not going to affect the maise. The maise is technical maise. It's putting on tefillin in his hand. In the maise gashmi herzach nish der. In his machshava, darten herzach the air of the pnimius of what the mitzvah is. But in the maise gashmi herzach garnish. Enkin which has to do the mitzvah tainug hanefesh, which is not mitzvah the seichel v'asag of the nefesh. Mitzvah pnimius of the neshama of a yid. Tainug means the tainug case the pnimius. Hanasham, the way the Yid's connected to Lukus, higher than Seichel V'Asaga, Tzitchinas HaTainug, mitzvah that dargis of the Maisa and the Machshava V'Ernesach. Means that the Eira Leki, the way it is beyond Shiur, the way it is beyond Akbala, the way it is Machshava, so the Maisa is misached with that Eira, the way it's higher than Lukus. That's not. Ad kan teres techen teres Rav Magid. Oh, so L'chura Pizini, L'chura the Shaila is, according to the Magid, the whole Indian of Asi is Tzimtzum. You must have known the Gans Asi. Ma'at Tzeref in Asi. Halibinin had deeper yeshne yesertan. Bidin machshava yeshne yeser. The Maggid's minded himself that the Eira Teira, the way it is in higher levushim, dort is mer merer. Was that? Why do you have to have the Yerida Maisa? And then you have to be mafshit it again. Bishelo the Maisa. A Yid should be in touch with the Inyan, the way they are in El Masayena. But Safim Chal Hamad Satan with the Elam HaMaisa, with Chitzei Nisayel. V'ur Teres Rav Magid Shabachayid Yidin Asi Inishal Tzimtzum. B'mele gam atayne gubet tzimtzum. Ki lo matzarach leis in the shesh yom neilch midbar alicha bekabos atera b'shesh elam is gam elam asiyah shesham besmat atayne. Was am tchatchila have the yirid lamata. If the Eira Teira is an Elam Seirim, that's a Tachas Inyan, and the Maggid says, and that's why B'Shas you have the Yerida. You have to do the mitzvah of Machshava in order to be Mechaber the Maisa with the Machshava. But Melchurige can't blind Melchatchila in Elam Seirim. Why do you need to have the Yerida? To have the Shleishas Yom Leilach Ma'mitr, to have the Yerida in Elam Seirim. But according to what's explained before from Baal Shem Tov, it says mitzad the Torah or the Eira Leki, the way it is begilim mitzad the Gdarim of Giluyim. Mitzad Giluyim is mer the Eira Torah El Masayenim Tak. But the Pnimius Etzem, the mitzvahs, the Mushish and Atzmos in the Etzem, so that dafke vert is gedrickt with them that the Ma'aseh Chitzoni you're meyached with the Inim. Aderech, like I said before we get to the Baal Shem Tov. The word of Baal Shem Tov is vi drickt sich, or how is the Indian Atzmi expressed that even levushim that through the levushim chitzanim you get to the melech. So derech zeh through ma'aseh chitzani, through that the ma'aseh chitzani you're meyached the Holocaust. If the Indian of Holocaust only comes mitzad in Yom Kelim Holocaust, in Yom Kelim Holocaust is there takem mesiached with her, and dort in herzach takem say in levushim achshava where the aces are bottled, so there's takem Meir the Eira Teira without some tzumim. But that's all the Eira Teira, the way it shayches the kelim. The poil through the aces being in a tnuah bittul, they're able to be a keli for the Eira. So that's an Eira which, even though we're dealing with an Eira which is balit symptom kolkach, but it's an Eira which could be expressed through kelim. So that's an Eira which is shayches the gili, Eira which is shayches the tzir. In order to have the amshachas ha'etzem, which is higher than gili, higher than expression, that's dafke v'ret is gedit with them that you come to a world of technical ma'aser. In yichitzayin, a technical ma'aser, you only margish mitzvahs for shiur, like the Maggid says. What's the whole mitzvah? The technical act of putting on tefillin. The technical, how big the esrog is, and shaking the esrog. There's nothing more than the mitzvahs for shiur, the technical ma'aser of the Indian. So herzach is do an eir. So dafke that you have, and the technical ma'aser you're ma'ached with the machshava. That even in a levush chitzeni of ma'aser, there you're connected to Holocaust. So in other words, the Rebbe's teaching is the yichud. Not that only when he's in a state of machshava he's miyuchad with Holocaust. If there kommt an elam ha'ma'aser and zerherzt sich nicht Holocaust, their guf is also miyuchad. That's dafke mitzad ha'etzem. And that dafke is mamshach ha'etzem. That even when he's in a tzir of a mitzias of ma'aser, which this tzir is b'chal not a keli today. There's no it's not a keli at all. If I care, the only thing is the technical ma'aser at all. Not a keli ta'inin alaki, a technical ma'aser. And there he's to the mitzvah, and there he's misached the Holocaust. That dafka is mamshel the taniga pasha. The etzim, the way the etzim is higher than any tziyur. Which dafka mitzad that there's no hagbala, he doesn't need an inyan in order, or he's beyond it, and an inyan should express. Se emalei. Elam heard the inyan. Inyan you've not been there several shantavan now. Shadavka they slap shatayla bisi purim gashmiyim mizgali yeser tainu mizdavka vida era tayla kumtan and azal chalavushim which begoli they're not kelim and the taka not kelim. It's at gidra gidra. When Ava became the melech is there. Why is the melech there? Not because they're also kelim, because the melech has no agbolas, has no gather of mitzias. The melech steht there wo will stay. This nekuda that he is where he wants to be, that's dafke expressed in the fact that a gefinzach in Yinanim which begoli have no shaychistin. So that dafke mitzad etzem. Moving on, kamish kozum teres rabamagach ataynu hu mechaber beis dvarim. Mizem move on shbechdei lechaber Yinanim shemafachim yeser yiserich b'taynu gadol yeser. The Maggid had ganze Zeit wegen Tainig. And Tainig bechlal in Yoni if Tainig is the mechaber two things, but that is kind of the kamadargis. You have Tainig, in other words, you have certain things that mitzad the Eira never to is betzimtzum. Say two people, an Eiv and say a chaber. So you can have one Eiv and then an order mitzad kechis chitzeni yeser in order to have a connection. So you're going to have a very strong reason for the connection. Any richuk is going to already be any tnuah mitzad avana v'asagas, any tnuah richuk is going to be a period. Mitzad tainog, so even something which is bechitzeni is nifred, you'll be able to find the connection. That's mitzad tainig b'chlal. But there are certain things that there's like no connection. They're nifred legani. The fact that even someone should nifred legani, there could be the chibur. That's dafka mitzad pnimiyas hanefesh. That's higher than siyur. That's mitzad hanefesh. Tainik is that they still against with the machshav did the shil ferach in shemam shach tainik. But there's the goes in the tainik hamurka tainik in murka. Das ist mamisch der Tamsch ist der Geistes. Lass mal sehen, was der Rebbe sagt. Weil ihn nicht What's the pshat in the lashon of the Baal Shem Tov? Yeser tainig. The Rebbe says it before. He says Kedol Kaman. Kedol Kaman means l'chora teres Rebbe Magid and also weiter in the Behukah Chassan from the Rebbe Shvaselim, because they're also types of a different word in tainig. What's the Rebbe saying here? The word of Yeser tainig. The lashon of Baal Shem Tov is Yeser tainig, and the Magid says that Dafke through tainig is chibur hafachim. There's kamadarges in being miyached two things. The ultimate chibur is chibur hafachim. Hafachim means inyanim which are not kalim, to inyanim which are to an to be miyached an with levushim which are not kalim at all. And dafke mitzad yeser time, mitzad the deeper tainik ma'achas and azal hafachim. So what's the pshat yeser tainik? The yeser tainik is another start tainik. It says v'inin b'zeh. A tainik k'fi madregas al yeines medibur machshav u'b'mdida v'shir l'fi erech inin shemam shas tainik. Machshav l'fi inyanim b'dibur l'fi inyanim. The way it says, you have a regular musik of tainuk that a person is misanik from a certain inyan. This inyan is geirim reimus hanefesh. Person versteht der Sach. So the verstanden der Sach, that's pearl a certain ilui, a certain feeling of reimus in the nefesh. But the tainuk, or the good feeling that you have, the geschmack that you have, the ilui that you feel, this inyan was pearl the ilui. So it's the ilui and the regash tainuk is behesim to the inyan that was geirim the tainuk. So it's going to be mukbal. I mentioned he understood something, or he had a certain regesh ava, and this regesh ava pearled a certain ilui in his nefesh, but a certain his alus and nefesh. So his alus and the tainuk is kfi'er of the thing which caused this tainuk. So it's going to be bagbala according to the thing that caused the tainuk. Then there's a tainuk was hatish, not that the certain inyan was getting tainuk, not that the nefesh was expressed through something. There's a tainuk apashat. The tainuk apashat is that you say in lower if you have that a person is not that some things making him feel good. He be'etzem feels content. He be'etzem feels emizgut. So in Pnimi Sainyan, there's a musik of Tanik Pashat is that it's not that the nefesh is, there's a certain ili which is nifal through something. There's the Pnimi nefesh is bizgalus. When the reim was asked me if the nefesh is nirgash. Not an ili that stems from a certain from seichel or from midas. The pnimis nefesh steht begal. When his pnimis is bizgalus, that's a tainik pasha. That's a person. That's nirgash. The reimus nefesh, the way it is in itself, not the way it's mukbal to levushim. It's a different type of tainik. That's a tainik that's not limited. Regular tainik is a certain ilu which is nifal mitzad a certain thing. So the eida nefesh is going to be behesim to the thing that was created in the tainik. Then there is as sehertzach the pnimis nefesh. That's higher than Shiurim, higher than keiches and than seichel amidas. That's a previous nefesh is Meir, so that's Tainug HaPasha, that's higher than Seichel U'Midas.
The first one's more like a stylos.
Now you're going. What Tainug is not a musik of a spell. Tainug is that a person feels you come alamnucha. A person feels that he feels a certain regesh of calmness, of coming to himself, being in his element. His self is at ease. But there could be certain Ilya Nevesh is just caused by a certain thing. A certain thing caused Ilya Nevesh. I mentioned Mazat Yisef Techadata, and that brings out a certain Ilya Nevesh. But that's not the Atzmis Nevesh is Bizgalis. Then Tainug HaPashat is that the Nevesh Kameshu is Begilu. The previous Nevesh is Begilu. Yeah, but the good Rebbe saying is that there is Tainug, which the way it is, Tainug B'derech Klal is the Hizgalus HaNefesh. That's Tainug. The nefesh is not a dover mitzvah. There's keiches, there's seichel midas, there are keiches, and then there is as der mensch leicht. Person, what does it mean? A person feels good. What does it mean? Tainig here that the eid hanefesh is made. There's understanding something, and then there is after a person understood something, his self is begoli. His nefesh he's in a uvgehev in a mode. So who's uvgehev? The person, the nefesh is uvgehev. The nefesh leicht. So b'chlolos tainug is a certain gilui of the pshitas nefesh. Tainug is not a keich. It's a dugmas ratzin. Same way ratzin is not an inyan prati. Seichel, understanding, is an inyan prati. Person understands something. Person has a regesh ava. That's all inyan prati. Ratzin is that the whole eye is nimshah. The whole eye is drawn and has an urge towards something. Then there is a person's eye is at ease. You're content. You're happy. You're say gliklach. So what type of regesh is that? That's the nefesh itself is good, is bezgalus. And so there's a certain izgalus and nefesh which is caused because of a certain inyan. I mentioned that it's verstanden, so that brings the tainug nefesh. It brings his nefesh is made. His nefesh is bizgalus. Or a person that had a certain midah and his nefesh is made. But that's all tainik hamur. That's all that the gilei nefesh is the fiyerech, the Indian that caused it. Even though gilei nefesh itself is the Indian clothing. See, a person with tainik is not a davar prati. He feels good. Means I don't want to use between tainik, but it's good. He feels good. So that's the general person feels good. Tainik is not a regesh prati. It's not like you say a person that feels a mensch ester person, you feel taste in your mouth. That's not so you feel taste in your mouth. That's Indian prati. Like seichel, you understand something. Then there is that because you ate in gashmis, or because you're a person listened to tainik and negina, so the person feels good. His nefesh feels a tnu of his alus mitzad the davar prati that you did. That's the eir hanefesh being made through this davar prati. That's the tainik. So tainik is always the eir hanefesh being made, not the tzir prati that you're doing. But there is the eir hanefesh which is behestim to, which has a shaykhis tegili, which is brought out under the eir hanefesh which is esgaled through prati's dikekeiches. And then there is that where there says tainik apashut that the etzem hanefesh is begili, not the way the nefesh is shaykhis to keiches. The previous nefesh is begili. That's an under Indian. And what the Maggid says that a person was in order to be miyached the ma'aseh with the machshavas, dafkim said previous tainik, he means the tainik the way the gilui the neshama, the way it is misat previous neshama, the etzem neshama, not the way the neshama is verbunden mit gilui, not the way the neshama is connected to keiches, connected to mitzias, but the previous neshama that's higher than mitzias, the previous nefesh. The person sometimes feels good, not because something caused them time. The previous nefesh is higher than the whole gather of mitzvahs. So there's a tiny that's neveh mitzvah the fact that the previous nefesh is made begoli, and that's not from something. That's a different tnu of tiny. And mizgut or the nefesh is bizgalus. He feels in a rainbow nefesh not because something caused the rainbow. I'm saying in a very low if and you say someone's in a good mood, not because something good happened to them. So why is he in a good mood? So sometimes a person's in a not always is a person affected by things around him. There's certain things that they come mitzad the person himself. That's in a very chitzenis given. But in previous advarim, there is that darg in the nefesh that has a shaykhis, the keiches, and seichel amidus, and they bring out a shleimus. They're mashlim him. They bring out a certain eir in the nefesh. So the eir nefesh comes out through the shleimus of the keiches, through seichel amidus. And then there's the previous nefesh that's higher than the whole gather of seichel amidus. That's misa nefesh. And there's a tainik pasha taste that there is the ilui and the hergish ha'ilui and the hergish ha'reimus which comes from the previous nefesh. And it said that Dafkim said previous tainik where they're speaking of a yid doing a mitzvah the previous in a nefesh alikis. So Dafkim said previous neshama. So then you don't have this gather that Dafkim has nothing to do with tzir. That's a yid's shaykh's previous talakus higher than tzir. And it's that Indian in their Maisa lane is Eichta Indian. It's not murke from a tzir. So but this year yeser tainuk sheini berach chol madregish bin na tainuk hainu etzem bin na tainuk aposhut areze Basi adavke. In a certain way, you're saying the mashal of the nefesh. If the tainuk is the tainuk which is expressed, if the tainuk is neveh mitzad the Indian, so it has to be an Indian which is mashal the nefesh. So you say a svara, so that's something which brings a certain shleimus to the nefesh. A person has a regesh ava brings shleimus to the nefesh. Vud rikzachei is that the tainuk stems from the primis nefesh, the way the nefesh is higher than keiches. That the tainuk in a mice in a asiya which is not megala nefesh. The tainik which stems from the asiya that comes to the sedir, the chayis, the lakus that he has, doesn't stem from the inyan that he's doing is vatal lakus. That's the lakus is higher than siyah, and that's dafkim is bata in a tainuk which in the kiyama mitzvah in the ma'aseh itself, not in a inyan which is a keli. Das b'chol is the minyan. Good. Now we'll get a bit weiter. Hina derech bor ba Maamar will be nishtem akif. So till now, what did the Rebbe speak till now? The Rebbe spoke till now. There's begins in the Maamar that there's two pchinas in air. There's the air which is the air asasum, stimmen the chol stimmen, and then there's the air which is begeder gili. The Rachet and Masber when that's two pchinas of makif arochik, makif akorev. The Rebbe's Masber the Maamar, the makif arochik is that also makif arochik has ashba. So the Rebbe does not speak. We're not, but noch nicht abgeteilt in the Maamar what the pshat of makif be'etzem means, of a sosan be'etzem. More that even though it's far, even though the mashpia is not mashpia begoli to the Talmud, aval v'kein it has ashba on the Talmud. But we didn't define what's this Indian of this er sasam. Reading pratim and to get to er sasam itself. The hadrich is the makif arachik is that even though it's moved to Legani from the Talmud, aval v'kein it has ashba on it. I mean, and I'll tell us to get to the end. There was spoken levushim. So if he says hafarmachter Indian, the Rebbe is going to speak now more oisius when they get to the what's the pshat er sasam or which is a farmachter Indian, which is higher than get regular. More pratim in that Indian, and in a higher eifin this musik of a which in Yoni is sasam be'etzem. The fact that the Rebbe get is that it's a farmachter. Farmacht means that it's mushlo from mitzvahs. It's higher than get mitzvahs. But the Rebbe read mer pratim in them and speaks this Indian of hecher from mitzvahs not different. And that's really the estate of us get free, because the fact that you can have the chibur afachim, and the fact that even in Maisi you can be yachid with the lukus, that's only vea mitzad the which is higher than mitzvahs. But the Rebbe read them mer pratim and you get to the stimulus of the You know what gelernt hast? You learned it gelernt hast. Das ist immer der steht. Wie nach der haben wir mein wenn ich schnell mal kiff, makaba roch, ich weiß nicht, der ist auf mal das mal den Tag, es ist bald gam, da hook khas. Yeah, it's the lashon here. I think if you look at the lashon, the Rebbe says the Maamar is the yesod of what he's speaking about before is getach in hook khas. We'll see. So what's up to that? שבמקיף משבז מזריק, מאגד der יושר, מאגד der חיזר. מאגד der יושר שהוא בבחינת גילי. אבל שלמה בבחינת הסלאפשס, בבחינת פנימי, ולכן הרי נישה בבחינת מאגד למייל. אבל יש לשייכס לעיר פנימי ויובל לגילי. And it brings the marshal, like a figure about before in the Maamar of Shinyut, כמירב משפיע שכל סברו תלמידי, שמה שיוכל להסקבל בשכל התלמיד דגר פנימי. שמסייש בכלי מייך שכל המקבל. Then there's emek seichel zeh she אפשר להסקבל בכלי מייך, nishu b'chinas makaf ha-meichel makom k'rim b'chinas kirib v'lov v'chayf v'lov mamish at shichol ovi v'asag mamish hem shechaz man. That we saw before. May the kohen minish that the Rabbi alim gam alim the Rabbi didn't say all these pratim. This is a quote from Gulta Chassan. Can we come to that? Yeah. Aber b'chinas makaf der chayz she'ini b'al digili klal gam b'chinas makaf adrab kol inyoni u'hepech ha-shefa sh'lim shel b'gili klal. כי אם להלים ולהסתר הדבר בעצמי להסנלם לגמרי, כמו השכל העומק ביסר שמוסתר ונעלם לגמרי. ונקרא שכל הנעלם מכל רעים. So, let's end the Rebbe's lesson here. Which page is it? 88?
Yeah.
Again, das ist das ist man zum Thomas der Farber sagen oder noch hecher in mit zum Nagel also haben das gar kein Scheiches nicht. Das wann wir bringen doch eine tiefere Maschel. Okay. The Rebbe is saying here I think that the Nekuda which is Meisif over here besides for the word of Tainug is Mavur there in Kuhuk Chassan. But besides that the Rebbe is speaking about we're dealing with an air which is a farmachter in. He's not begeder gili klal. He's mufshit from the Gedder Amitzis. Like there's a Chachma Shloime, like Gabi, it's the Gabi Asagas and Evrayim, Vavai Nasan Chachma Shloime, it's in Seichel, which is the Gamri, nothing to do with Gedder Amitzis of Elam Hazan. So it's not if you could say you could come to the Gili. It's not within these Gdorim. The Rebbe Shab Taichas Makav the Chazer is, it's not standard saying that it's an Indian Sasam, or an Indian that's higher than Gedder Amitzis. In Yoni, there's Gili, there's Giluyim, there's Ili, the Vaflas, the Aflas of Elokus. Then there's the Etzem, which is beyond saying of Ili Vafla. So, Makav der Chazer is, the Inyani of the air is, his Kalalos Batzmusik. Means, to be shaled in Nagili. And the Tnu of, the Aliyah and the Reim was in the Etzem, which is higher than Gedder Agili. This Taish, at the end of Makav der Chazer is, not Stam an air Nela, or an air which is higher than Gedder Amitzis. But an air which Inyani is, the Kalalos Ba'etzem, that they heard them, mitzad the etzem, the way the etzem is moved l'mareimim from the Indian Agili. That's in Yoni of the Ser. That's is geteicht in the Hukachas and Tafish and Zayin. I think what the Rebbe is saying here, that this word is the Chimagav der Chizur sheinu bal the Gili klal. So this is that's als a vermachterin. Gam leib chinas makif. Adrabe. This is the main. Kol in Yoni who fakert the hair and the akare the shlilas agili. How the remus ha'etzem, which means the remus ha'etzem yishelu in agili. The Rebbe brings there. I'm saying you're not saying a zasert inyan which is higher than gilu. We're saying that in Yoni is also higher than the etzem. The way the etzem is mereimim from in Yonim of ilu v'aflo. The atzmi is civil kushi b'nirgash, and and to be shelo the Yonim of gilu. The Rebbe Shloime brings there that, and it doesn't say mamish this lashon. You say that there's ever chassidus there's a musik of yediyas achim and yediyas shlila. There's kama pratim is but what are the Ifanim is this means you versteht der Zach, you're understanding this and this in this chachmeh, this svara, that svara, understanding this svara. Then there's the etzem which is higher than tzir, let's say. The pshittas etzem which is higher than chachmeh, higher than chesed. And you're not, so the havana bas shlila is, you can't, there's no way that the etzem which is mufshit from tzir should be in a slab, it should be understood, should come into hezber, should come into eis, should come into kelim, because it's higher than kelim. But in was besteht the aliyas nasaga, their head and mer how the etzem is mushlo from gilu, and then besteht the dargis. The dargis besteht not in it should be saying understanding better. Allein nehmen der Sachen mehr bepnimis. The hasaga is more to get a deeper akara in how the etzem is mushlo from gilu. The ein arech of the etzem to gilu. It's a different type of hasaga. There is one type of hasaga is they're trying to understand the Indian, or you say in the lashon of the Maamar. There's this aspect in Holocaust, which in Yoni, in Bas besteht the Mala, as a kind of Galaver. And it can be Nisgale, you can understand it, it can be Slavish and Pnimius. Sof the Shloime Sidon Gili is, there will be Slavish and Kalim. That's one kav, that's the kav of Gili. The kav of Gili is the Indian, the way Holocaust has also the Shleimos of being Meir. And the Shleimos of being Meir is that he's this Achid and Slavish and Pnimius and Kalim. As Abraham Shtina, Koim Adai to the Rabbi. Then there is the Etzem is higher than Gili. The Remus says, the Legabi him, Gili is not a mile, Blikvos not a mile, Kenzach came out. And the Hakara that least machshavat visabit, and that is also Ribi Yinanim that least machshavat visabit. Not that he could be in his gal with Kol Makim, and that the Seichel could be in his achad with him. The fact that least machshavat visabit, that he's mushlo from Hashaychas to anything. The Remus and the Avdallah of that. There's an air which in Yoni is not in Yoni is Gili. In Yoni is as a chen the Remus and the Avdallah says from all in Yoni, and them is Echda Dargis. But that's so we're saying is we're not dealing with an which is says Chachma Shloime that's the Erech Hasagas and Evrahim is Sasa. An which in Yoni is not the Remus the etzem is mudal from Das Gufa is Herz. What says the Herz? It's the bittul not saying this. You can say bittul in of Gili. And was dikts the is der etzem that the is bottle. With them, the fact that he's bottle with that is mere the bleak of the etzem. Here we're not saying the word of bittul There's a dargan which in Yoni is the chayzer b'miskalo batzmusa. That's the mark of the chayzer. What's in Yoni there? That is chayzer b'miskalo batzmusa. The hergish that legabi the etzem everything is kolosh. Nothing has to do with bittul has no physical makom also. In Yoni of this area is not in of gili, which is looking to be miskarev according to his kalim to them. It's also chayzer that etzem what the Avdallah says and the Rebbe says. So that is getayched if you look at not in the lashon which is brought here. But if you look in we'll see this first day though. So kol inyonu v'hipach Hashem v'shleim shal b'gili klal. Ki im lahalim u'lahashter adover ba'atzmi li'isnelim negamri. So what's the word lahashter adover ba'atzmi? Why tak is the tnu of this seichel lahalim u'lahashter adover ba'atzmi? Because in Yoni is also chen der etzem, not the gili. The shleim severe is not the gili in it. It's also the Avdallah V'reim was the etzem from anything else which is outside of the etzem. So the tnu is lahashtra davar ba'atzmi li'isnelim legamri. That not that he's in the tnu of hashpah v'gili. Kumei ha'seichel ha'omak b'yesher shemuster v'nelim legamri v'smenikar seichel ha'nela mikorayim. I don't know. I'm just saying v'seichel ha'nela mikorayim. There's much deeper teaching. V'seichel ha'nela mikorayim. In was b'shteit the seichel not mizal verstehen. Nela mikorayim. It's as a the pshita se'etzem which you can understand, and in them lichtmen. the seichel is in the etzem which is nela mikorayim. It's a whole different type of tfisa.
What does that mean? Sorry.
What does that mean? The hasagin the einarech. Different type of seichel. I don't know if I'm saying there's Sudas Asar seichel which is nela mikorayim. So what type of seichel is it? You're looking to explain the inyan. It's the way the etzem is movdal from any expression. The pshitas etzem. And thus herzach. That's what in them likt me. Melikt in the fact that the etzem is unattainable.
Is this other, when you said like, when we learned maybe Yifkalon of Aaron Seif, that you're into the Seichel, you're trying to get to the like Pshitus HaNefesh from you know, the base
I don't know if that's the same thing. Because that's a yin of Gila, you're saying, in this Tnu as expressed Pshitus HaNefesh. You were saying, there's only the etzem. The Reim was the etzem. Being shayl any inyan of any taich, any tnur. The etzem the way he is ba'atzmusa. In yani of this is a hachazer, a hamizbatel, and in yani is not to be gili. That the etzem is mushted from gili. You have which inani is gili. You have a which inani is the herigish that the etzem is mushla from gili, is mudla from gili. That's the inani for the reir. And that is bli shir. Chazer is kalal ba'atzmusa. It's not a tnur of gili. I'm saying al derech like you have a seichel which in yani is not understanding. In yani is the tfisa how you cannot understand that. In them bashtet the tfisa. There's you say there's the idea sashtela, is in was bashtet in was bashtet the idea and what's nirgash beim the fact that the etzem is mushlo from idea. That's a different type of understanding. You say someone is understanding a concept, understanding how the truth is beyond understanding. In them liktmen. It's a different type of understanding. It's not a regular concept of asag. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Thoughts was man kann verbinden mit dem der steht. Oh, so Maamar I do by implications. Now the Frierdiker Rebbe says there when the Frierdiker Rebbe says this word, when the Frierdiker Rebbe is teaching the Maamar Tov Shin Yud, the makif asosim, which in Yoni is timus be'etzem, the Frierdiker Rebbe doesn't bring this word of makif der chazer, doesn't touch up. But the Rebbe says here that the Hemshech Hasif retter them in but in a hechereif. More in a more say hechereif and then the way it's eizgeteicht in the mashal of seichel and hukachas. That's what it sounds like when the Rebbe says the Maamar. What does he say? Maamar lu lemikeser, what's be'emikeser? She'inin zen nikar yoser means vu herzich more. This nekuda that there's a seichel which is now let me call rayin. There's a seichel that's moved off from the gedra gilui. That's herzich mer and the way the mashal the Frierdiker brings when they get to mashpia atzma. So the pshat of the inyan of makif der chazer, the makif betz, and das is getaish mukachas. The Frierdiker Rebbe, the mashal of the mashpia, that's where it's nicker more this inyan of an hachazer or miskalo batzmus. He says like this. He says, "Meisi b'Maamar ayilu lemikes she'inyan zeh nicker yesek asher mashpia maskal mischakem batzmus." What's the difference? You say there's one type of aliyah. What's the difference? You say a mekabel and a mashpia. A mekabel means he doesn't have the inyan itself. He's mechutz le'inyan, and he's a mekabel from the inyan. So then, if Adam, when someone's in a mekabel, that verstehen in a tnu of aliyah v'bittel to the her and the minyan. The mashpia is that he's not being mekabel from the inyan. The inyan is meir by him, a whole different name. He has the inyan itself. You say someone sees something, so it's not a regular tnu that you're outside of it and you're trying to reach to the inyan. The inyan is meir by you. So he says like this. So you have du ashkol askol v'schakmos gerim tesis ervigil. Which has the mashpia linked in the minyan, maskol mischakim in the inyan, noch tiffer in the minyan. So every haskol v'schakmos brings more gili. You see the mashpia sees the inyan more by emikes or another light of the inyan, whatever the hasbar is. How they say. So that's going to stuff bring more of a gili to the mekabel. Even though Bashasi is being mischakim, he should lay better to the mekabel. That was tips in the minyan. What he's more maimek in the gufin. Saf, there's one ifin is that the more he's maimek in the inyan, it's going to bring as a result more gili. Saf to the mekabel. Why? Because one of the inyanim say the inyan agili stems from the shleimus of the inyan. It's not stama say that the fact that the rabbis mashpia seichel to the Talmud, That's also a inyan which comes Ketetzah from the fact that the Rav has the inyan ba'emek. The fact that the Rav has the inyan in a very deep way, from there stems the fact that he's able to be mashpia the inyan to Talmud. But Saf Kol Saf, the Rav's his chakmos in the inyan, Saf Kol Saf brings a gili to the Mekabel. Tesef is gili to the Mekabel. That's B'derech Klal. So das sagt, das ein Eifen. So there's another Eifen, is Kasher mashpia maskel maschakim and Ezra the gili. And calls up, but this only is shaykh and seichel shu betnu shlam shach v'gili. Means seichel but shinyani is azas, but shinyani is gili. In yani is azas cert eichos, azas cert emek, which could be expressed in the fact that he's yered lamatamad. Also, in you say from when it comes to the Rav is able to mishpia the seichel, tat how much is bein arich lower, because the Rav has the inyan, he has the etzem inyan. If the Rav would have the inyan in a limited way, then you'd only able to be mashpia tat Talmud just lefi arke. The fact that the Rav is able to mashpia tat Talmud just shlei be'erich lower than him, that's because the Rav has the pnimius in. But that's all azasert pnimius which are shaykhs to gilu, which could be expressed through gilu. Azasert emek in the seichel harav, or azasert shleimus in the musik, which could be expressed in the fact that he's able to be mamshechit tat Talmud just shlei be'erich lower. So that's all that chilik in the inyan which is shaykhs to gilu, which could be expressed, which was ken sich eisdrigen. Then there is there's another stuk seichel, shu sasim be'etzem. A seichel which inyani is the etzem, the way it's moved from Geder Agili. Not the regular musik of haflo, which is expressed in the regular musik that he's able to be nimshach and mispashet b'ligvo. That there's the nekudas ha'etzem that's higher than being expressed in iluyim v'haflo. The nekudas ha'etzem itself. B'shas the Rav is maskel mischakim the nekudas ha'etzem. So that doesn't bring a Tesefes Gili. That brings a Tesefes Ilui Visgalos, and that's makes it more in the Havdalas Ha'etzim from Gili. The Shlilas Gili from the Etzim. Another certain. Says Avaseichel Omakes Shu Sasim Be'etzim Shekolos Musa Eri Betunu this Amos means the most of this area is what's Fara Eri this is in Eri which Chinyani is Gili, the headrak ball of the Svara, or Eri which Chinyani is the Nekudas HaSvara that's higher than the Shleimus of Gili. So says another sort seichel. Says seichel in the ein reich, the reumus of the etzem from the gil. So the more the Rav is maskel mischakim the nekuda, the more his sheilel any tnu of gil. The more is the tnu of reumus and halo. So the gamma shem is gali lever zeim sheir nivdol masala matzmus. But the nachik sagt weiter. This has to do with the timing. So Maamar shel b'dav u'kechosim. Shaseichel yeser omok. Wo kommt der etzem tag the nekudas etzem which is higher than in yonam of ilui. Yochelav the gilui mishalem v'chidis davke. Shebech muster. The nekudas inyan comes in an inyan which is not together, which not together keli. Sing last time the Rebbe says neget hakafos. The achtos of rikut beraglayim, it's not an inyan of achtos. There's no eschalkus. There's the reality of no eschalkus without the levush, not a teichena inyan. So the mishalem v'chidis, the inyan the way it is. Not b'derech ilui, not b'derech hafla, not b'derech reimus. The nekudas ha'inyan itself, that's expressed afkin ma'is, mishalom v'chidus, which are not kalim to the inyan. So the afkin zeh likt the nekudas ha'inyan, which is higher than ilui, higher than hafla, higher than. She'inu masih klam techa mashal, al she'etzem lu is mashal zeh. B'zeh yisrin, I would say it. Maamar shel b'dav u'kechosim she'ezel mishalom v'chidus dafke. It's not an inyan of hasaga. It's the nekudas the inyan kamesh who is there. Hasaga means that you understand the inyan. So the inyan comes according to your kelim, according to your seichel. Then there is the nekuda kamesh who is there. In the mishalim and the chidus, it's not another hezber and achtos. See, the way the achtos is gala shminat seres herzach a nekuda of achtos, a bit like kelim. Here it's not nekuda semer the nekuda of heder kelim. The nekuda the inyan itself is there. A different type of amshach. Gili is always, you don't have the gufa inyan. It's the inyan the way it's made. Vi vertnes gala the inyan because there's levushim which are bottled to the inyan, which express the inyan. So you don't have the gufa inyan. You have the inyan the way it's made, or according to how much the makabel is a keli to the inyan, how much is bottled, not the nekuda itself. Mashenkin in the mashalim, there you have the nekuda the inyan gufa is there. Not the way a metzias is bottled to the inyan, or the way it's reflected, the way it's expressed through something else. The nekuda is inyan itself. Und der nekuda is done under mais in the levush. וזה יש שם also נדגיש רק רלוונט על כאן יותר כל עצמו. Meisiv Sham Shiurim ze Yeser Binin Atani. The Rebbe said before the command is this word. She says the Tani Kamur go Tani Kaposh. Tani Kaposh Gufa Yesh Efen She'en Lechiz B'Shum Dover. So there's one Efen of Tainug that the Reimos and Nevesh is Nirgash that there's an Aliyah in all his Keiches, not only in his Keiches, also in Levush HaMaisim. It's Metapeach Beraglov and Mesapik B'Yodov. When the a tiny which is neveh, not mitzvah in Indian. It's neveh mitzvah primus nefesh, so the primus nefesh is not mukbal. So it's Meir everywhere, even belaglov. But then he says the tiferet zach, so that the primus satanik is misbate in a tnua. It's misbate in the fact that there's a certain hergish of archove betachlis, a certain bleak vol, but it's a certain expression of the bleak vol of the nefesh. Then there is the herzach der etzem, which is moved from gilu. And then he's as Asar Tainug that he's Kevin Damon. He giat enig be'etzem nafshish enig beget the gilu b'amshach l'klal. Means the reim was the etzem which is higher than gilu, higher than any inyan. It's not even expressed in the fact that it's mispashed b'kol the previous etzem, and that's Meir. Which says that's Meir, that's a whole different thing. Then it's not about being expressed. It's the nekudas inyan itself, the nekudas nefesh itself. And then there's no tnua outside of the nefesh itself. Adar we'em the khnas liv stagas lamal davke. Will geen endish shim tnu klal. Li yeseb khnas gezer batsmus davke. It is verb. Het ragid bam shachal gam. Mean this is an which inyani is gezer batsmus davke. An which inyani is nicht zu stehen bis galus. It's also kein nord der etzen. Beginen we segel amak be yes en elem kod eins. In beged gid mit zaratsme. Khnas ali be stagas lamal lahalem lahastrat davke. I think this is the third word. Which inyani is the aliyah and the etzem. So till now we're speaking about an which is sasim. Which is sasim. There's a pshitis which is gili, and there's a pshitis which is higher than gili. Here it's not a part of pshitis which is higher than gili. There's an which in yani is the aliyah v'skalus ba'etzem. Not the way the is mechutz le'etzem. Which in yani is it's also higher than the kavanas etzem. Not a tnua the way it is. So that's not the etzem the way he's a mocker for tnuas. The etzem the way he's mufshit, the way he's moved, and does also higher. So this Eid HaSasim is really the Hergish Etzim, or the Iskalul Sa'ir in the Etzim. That's the Eid HaSasim. The Achishim Saim Siv Zeh Mamshech Levar Adung was a way in Sof. Let me say no. Okay. I think we said I'm only saying words, I'm not trying to touch I'm not trying to be magder the inyanim here. Achishim Saim Siv Zeh Mamshech Levar Adung was a way in Sof. Sheyesh Ne'er Shu B'chinas Gili. V'yesh Ne'etzem E'er She'ene Begeder Gili B'amshach Klav Elmas. La'adrabe She'mis'alim Miskal Batzmuse. For what is nicht Begeder Gili? Weil Inyani von der is an Is'alim Hen in Etzem. The Atzmus which is moved from her, that's Inyani of there. B'chino Madrege Zu, Hu Yanekas B'Shem Eitzel. Shem She'etzer Yisasim in Elam in Koreye, Keim B'chinas Atzmus Usasim in Elam. Hainu Leirak Sasim Erech HaMekabel, Elishu Sasim is Atzmus. Not Sasim because he should lay better higher than the Mekabel. Inyani is not Gili. So the Etzem V'yer is Batzmuse. Stim in the Chostim. No, now the Rebbe Leksus, even though till now we're being, what's the Adgosh, they have shot us Inyan from Gili, from Metzias. Chezer V'skal Batzmuse. The which Inyani is the Shlilas HaGili, Shlilas HaMetzias. But after them, like the Rebbe Tzu, but this Etzem, which is higher than any Shaykhs to Inyanim of Gili, the Lekuz is Batzmuse. But this Eitzer Zeh is only Sasim, calls man Shliba only Nani Sachem. Avkash Tzirich Manatzeh, as a Mocham, as a Peistrim, and Neisim Seiches, as Summa Vakmusim there. Even and it's another it's not in the Efen and is not an Efen of Gilui. It's not it's a different Efen. Megit Takatinya in a way of Levushim. But do we say in Namosh? The Zemikabel was called Seder Dach Yitzlera. So the Mishalim of the Figab is Meirich that it's not Stam. We want to bring out that it's a Makab Be'etz, and then the Chagav says that one of the expressions is that is Nimshach in a way of Levushim. It's Nimshach in a way of Levushim. That's Neget Rini. Man, these inyanim which are higher than Geter Gilui, the way they're nimshat to the Mekabel is not an inyanim of Gilui v'seichel. A different eif. They're taking nimshat to the Mekabel, but in a different through inyanim of hell, through Atzmi is the inyanim. So inyanim which are higher than Geder Gilui. That's the way the Nimshal to the Mekabel. But ideas of Mekabel is called Asel Kvishu Yitzlarav. Uber Eifen Shenas in Yonish Shal Mekabel. That's already another. On one hand, we're saying the Etzem is Mufshis Meshayachas the Gilui. But the Gitze in Avega does Levern Unzer Mitzis. That should become our reading. The Etzem Kameshu Batzmusei does all sein Unzer reading. You have one Eifen is that there's the Mitzis, there's the Mekabel, and there's what's the pshat that there's a Eir Lekim Nimshach to this the Mitzis Adam. In a Eifen that there's the Mashpia bleibt Einzach, the Mekabel bleibt as Zweite Zach, and the Mashpia is Meir by the Mekabel. Another Eifen is there's the Mashpia Kameshu Batzmusei. Und was geht in the Mekabel? That does all sein the Mekabel's whole lineage. Not that he should stay in Mitzis b'fnei atzmei, affected by the Eir Harav. Sein ganze Mitzis soll werden the Inyan of the Rav. That's Dafki Mitzad the Eitzer. So that's the Elokus is Vatz Musay. Mitzad that Inyan, there's Remus says the Eir is Chezer Miskalo Vatz Musay. What's a pale by the Am? What's a pale by the Anshe Achayil? As their Inyan Ver Teretz. Their Inyan becomes Elokus. Not they stay in Mitzis b'fnei atzmei. And they're inspired by the course. Does Vert Zeir in you? Because the Eitzer is the Etzem which is not Nesin Makim to Mitzis. To expression which is not him. There's only one Nekudah. And that Nekudah that becomes the Nekudah of the Mekabel. Does Vert, in order to be Menatzeach Melchame, darf sein verbunden with the Etzem of Elokus. And does all sein unser ganze Mitzis. Shadiz becomes called Kvishu Eitzel Arav. And das wird sein Indien. Because sein Indien wird der Rav. Gehen ein bisschen weiter, wir shouldn't... Deel will lernen bei Jelach, ein bisschen weiter? Yeah. No, if we have 4 or 5 programs, I'm saying, I'm not going to speak to myself. I'm saying. Okay, so... It's interesting, by the way, Stam, if you look in the couple of some things that it's not, this is Masha one word, which is not is attached in the Rebbe says the Maamar, the Rebbe is Makav der Yashav Erchezer, any begeder Gilui, in the Rashi Prakim. Because of Poil, what's that Goshen that brings the word of Zamat Tzedek? That there's Nasa and there's Nishma. So the partially the Rebbe says in the Maamar is that Nishma is not that he's Mevatel Daiter or Tzedek Legani. His Ratzon should be according to the way the Eibishter wants. Not his Mashayk and Nasa is these Mevatel Daiter or Tzedek Legani. The only thing that's left is Asiyas Haratzon. But the Rebbe touches here Nasa, Tmuras Nishma is that Seherzach Gidei because they're the Plimius of mitzvahs. The premise of what it is. Hasagi. Mashayk Nas is the Maisa mitzvahs, not in of Gilui. That's Mitzad Etzem, so it's the Maisa itself, not in of Gilui. It's not as getouched in this word. Gamba Mashpia Nela Mikorayim, Tiny Belitzmua.